Hello guys, as always this is Cry and welcome back to another episode. I'd like to take a short bit at the beginning to just apologise for my absence over the past couple of weeks. Um, as many of you do know, I have explained before, I have started a very intensive IT apprenticeship and I didn't realise how intensive it was. And I've pretty much spent all of my free time just doing work. I really haven't had much of an opportunity to play any games, let alone record them. However, this weekend I have been able to have access to the Star Wars: The Old Republic beta event that was going on. Um, so, in this video, I will be giving you my impressions of the game so far. It's going to be very short, limited impressions, as I haven't been able to cover all the content or make it past pretty much level 10 with any character. So this is just my basic reactions to the first, well, my first, maybe I've maybe put in about 8 hours max to the game. So this is my brief um, impressions of it. So the footage that you're watching is from the first real instance, I think they call it. I'm not down with MMOs. It's the first instance of the game. I've got my good friend Devilian, I think is how you say it. Over from Epic Axe on YouTube. There'll be a link in the description to his show. Please go check him out. He's a good friend of mine. So me and him are just running through the first instance. I don't know if I'll put it all up. I actually managed it. The whole instance lasted about 44 minutes. So I'll talk for as long as I can, and then you'll just get to see as much as much as my voice covers. So yeah, they're the basic introductions. I hope you enjoy the footage. It gives you something to look at, a basic overview of how everything works. So yeah, let's get into it. So basically, this new Star Wars, not Knights of the Old Republic, the Old Republic is a game made by BioWare, who were responsible for their other famous Star Wars game, which is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And this was a single-player RPG. They went on to make, Dragon Age and of course Mass Effect, which just kind of tells you what the minds are behind this game. It's going to be good, and it's very interesting to see how they've managed to take all of their knowledge from all these single-player RPGs and inject it into a MMO kind of world. And so yeah, that's what it pretty much is. It's a BioWare game, just in an MMO setting. It's really really interesting, really. As I said before, the beta coverage is for this weekend. It has been going on for I'm not sure how long previously before this weekend, but this weekend they really did open it up to everyone because it is a stress test of the servers. So that means they're just letting on loads of people and seeing if they could actually have the capacity to take it. And because of that, it's been very, very stressful kind of trying to get on because there's just so many people and they've only got a few servers up because they're really trying to max it out. So there's queue times to get into servers, servers are full, servers are slow. It's not fantastic, but it hasn't caused me a massive issue, not whatsoever. So apart from queue times, but I can learn to live with that. Through the beta, I have only really had the chance to play the Sith side of the characters, the Empire, mainly because the people I've been playing with wanted to go Sith. I didn't have a problem with that, so we all just went Sith. It's not a big issue. So I have put a little bit of time into a Jedi Knight character, but it really is. So I put in about an hour into it, so I really can't talk about it very much. So I'll be mainly covering the Sith classes I have played. So it's, as I said, it's not going to be a comprehensive. It's just my impressions. So just letting you know that I've only played Sith, and of the Sith, I've only played two of the classes you can play. I've played the Sith Warrior, and I've also played the Bounty Hunter. So just to give you a overview of kind of where I'm at in the game and where I've got to. So don't go expecting me to be praising be praising the Republic, but you know, we wrapped up the we wrapped up the Empire pretty good. So I guess I'll just split it into what I think is good about the game so far, and then we'll go on to what I don't think is so good. So the one thing that really did strike me first off the bat was the character classes and how well they divided up the kind of stereotypical Star Wars classes, and then they also balanced it as well. Because going into it, I was really worried of how they would deal with a smuggler versus a Sith, you know, Jedi warrior. Obviously, logic says the Jedi warriors can smash face and take names, and you know they're really hardcore characters compared to like where a smuggler is kind of just like a normal average guy. You know, there's nothing special about him. So, but they've done a really nice job of balancing it. Everyone feels just the way they should. You know, the smugglers are obviously the smugglers that you play, or the bounty hunters that you play. You know, the more standard human characters. They're obviously the elite of their class. They're obviously, you know, the top bounty hunter is what you're playing. You know, so they've balanced it in the way that everything still feels like you're powerful, which is good because I was worried that you'd go in as a Jedi, you'd start raping face, and then you'd switch over to like a bandit smuggler, and you'd be just like pew pewing lasers at people, and you'd feel very underpowered. But it's not like that in the slightest. From what I've played so far, of course, you know I haven't really dabbled in Jedi stuff, but Republic stuff. Sorry. So far the bounty hunter feels just as epic and powerful as a Jedi. So they've done a really good job with character balancing, um, just as like just as characters, not as like stats and skills, but they've done a really good job of making everything feel epic and powerful. So that's really good. And to go with that, they've also given you really good starting areas to start in. I do have some negatives about the starting areas, which I will go into in the bad points, but for now, we'll talk about the good of the starting areas. You know, from what I can recall, there's two starting areas for each faction. You know, you have the starting areas for the Sith, and you have two. So you'd have one starting area which will have the um, Jedi power classes in, so the Sith Warrior and the Sith Inquisitor, and then you'd have another starting area which is for the more human side of the Empire. So you have the bounty hunters and the Imperial agents in one starting area. I'm not completely sure if that's true or not. As I say, I've only been able to play a bounty hunter and a Sith warrior, but I have seen Sith Inquisitors running around in the Sith warrior area, so I can only presume they all share the same area. But there's a good diversity between the two areas. You know, the smuggling area, the bounty hunter area is, you know, your typical hostile planet, but not hostile in the way of enemies like monsters, but hostile in the way of its very criminal organization. You know, it's very suiting to the bounty hunter. Whereas as you flip over to the Sith warriors, it's very suiting to the Sith warriors. You know, it's all about their heritage and their history, their beliefs, their religion, if you will. So it's got a nice contrast between the gritty criminal underworld and like the Sith beliefs and religion and that kind of stuff. So it really sets you up in the mindset of what character you're actually going into. It really suits it really well, in my opinion. We'll talk about the graphics are another thing that really caught my eye. They've kind of gone for a cartoony look, a bit like World of Warcraft, but it's a lot more real. Feels a lot more real. You know, the colours, while bright and vibrant, still suit the aesthetic. You know, you don't walk into an Empire ship and it's all like candy. It doesn't look like that. It looks like an Empire ship. Everything looks like it should be, but it's got that slight cartoon edge to it. You know, all the characters look slightly cartoony. They don't look ultra realistic, which I like. It suits it. You know, it suits the MMO style. You know, MMO shouldn't be super serious. They should have a little bit of humour in them, and that's, you know, it kind of comes across in the aesthetic. So I really like that about it. The skills are another thing I wanted to talk about. I really like how they balance the skills. It seems like all they're doing, like, I've only played up to level 10 and they've just bombarded you with skills, and it's really nice because that's one of the things I love about MMOs is you get all these skills and you get to work with them and, you know, see what does what, when to use it, what situation suits it best. It's, what skills are more suited to PvP, what are PvE. You know, it's really nice. It really lets you play your character the way you want to play it. For an example, as the bounty hunter, you can get from the very beginning. You get skills which will allow you to deal with enemies at range or close up. Like you can use your flamethrower or you could use your missiles from far away. It gives you this option. And the way I wanted to play, I didn't really feel a need to have my flamethrower out because I dealt with every enemy before they got to me. So that's one skill that I kind of discarded and then used the rest of the skills. It allows it for more flexibility within the actual class. You're not a defined class. You kind of play it a little bit how you want, which is really nice and something different from other MMOs, I think. To go with that, I really like how they dealt with the specializations of the classes. If this is something you haven't heard about before, what it is, each class has two main paths to go through. So what would happen is you'd start off with the Sith Warrior, and the Sith Warrior is your basic, Jedi character with the lightsaber. So from there, you play to level 10, get a feel for the character, and then you'll get the choice. Do you want to go to the Juggernaut route, or do you want to be a Marauder? And each has their strengths and weaknesses. The Juggernaut is your typical tank character. It can take a lot of damage, wears heavy armor, wields one lightsaber, this kind of stuff. Or you could go for the Marauder. It's got a higher DPS because it uses two lightsabers, but maybe it's not as heavily armored. It doesn't have as many buffs. It really allows you to define and choose which character you want to pick. So I really like how they've done that. It gives the characters more replayability as well as more flexibility. So yeah, I really like the way they've done that. I mean, the whole game at the moment is coming across as a real winner and a real, I wouldn't say threat to WoW, but it's a real contender. So that's my good impressions of the game so far. It honestly has left me with a really good taste in my mouth. It's really whet my appetite for the game, and I want to dive in more. Excuse me, and play a lot more. So it's really done its job, the beta. And that's another thing I really wanted to touch on while we're talking about the good, is how the servers held up, because it was a stress test, and a lot of the times when people do impressions, they think very much of the game and don't tend to step back and look at it as a whole picture. And that's what I want to do for a second. I want to step back and look at how it all functioned outside the game. Leading up to the release, there was a few hiccups, mainly with the website crashing, not being able to support the amount of people that was heading to it. That's not necessarily a great positive. But when the game actually got up and running, there were very few times, in fact there was no times that I had any crashes or any freezing, none of that. It was all very smooth. Sure, there was queue times, but that's to be expected. It's a stress test. So I think so far it's a very sturdy build of what they have, and all they really need to do is tweak it and polish it, and it will be something really great. So now we've praised the balls off of it, let's talk about some things that didn't work so well that I felt could really do with some tweaking. I want to start off with the UI. It's a very bland UI. It's all very uniform, all very blue. Something can tend to get lost, or you're not sure where to look for certain things. At first, going into it, it really struck me as odd. It's the typical MMO layout, but some of the things have been moved about. I had to get used to the mini-map being down in the bottom corner instead of the top corner. Just little things like that. But the main UI is sturdy and good, but I just think it needs a bit more of a visual boost to it. It all does look very mundane, quite dull. But that's just a personal gripe. Another thing, I was praising the textures and the style that they went for, but the textures are very low res. There's no anti-aliasing. It's It's not rough on the eyes, but it's definitely not the most beautiful MMO I've ever played. That award still goes to Rift. But there is a reason for that. I was talking to my friend Epic Axe, and he was saying, that this is the beta release. They've purposely implemented poorer textures just to get it out there. So what you're looking at is not the finished version by any means. They have got anti-aliasing support. It's just needing to be implemented properly before, and they didn't want to do it for the beta. So to be honest, I don't know why I'm complaining about it. It isn't great. It's not. It's not a bad game to look at, but you can certainly see the low res textures in places. But again, this will be fixed for release, so really, I shouldn't be complaining about it. I did touch on the skills and how I really like the skills and the variety of skills that there are. But one thing that kind of let me down a bit was when I went to play a Jedi Knight character, which is the equivalent of the Sith Warrior. They're both lightsaber classes. You find the skills are a mirror match of each other. Now this isn't a bad thing. Again, I've only played, an hour of the Jedi Knight class, but they are literally just renaming, and they do exactly the same thing. I would have liked a little bit more originality, but I imagine that will come later on the line, where you will be you'll be a level 50 Jedi Knight, and you'll be polar opposite of the Sith Warrior. I think that will happen, but again, I just don't know. It was a little disheartening when it first happened, because it honestly felt like I was just playing the same character, but instead of being a dick, I was being a hero, so a little complaint, not much. Still really enjoy the skills. Yeah, the one thing that really ticked me, and this was the same thing that ticked me with Rift, was once you get to level 10, you specialise, you've got 3 skill trees that you have full access to, and it is very, very overwhelming, especially for new players. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know if I'd done this, would it mess up this? You really have to plan ahead in MMOs and all kind of RPGs which have skill trees. So it's a little disheartening to see so much, but again, this is something personal. This isn't a flaw with the game that everyone will experience. I'm just not used to having this amount of skill trees available to me. So that was just a little gripe. One of the main issues that I had with the MMO and starting it, this was the number one issue I have, is it's not very user friendly and it's not new player friendly. If you've played an MMO before, you'll be alright. You'll make your way through the game and you'll get used to it. Indicators take a bit of getting used to, but you start noticing them more and more. But nothing's really explained. It does have a helpful tooltip on the side, but even then it's not very new player friendly, not at all. Compared to other MMOs out there, you really kind of have to know what you're doing going into the game. Maybe this is something that they'll fix for the full release, but apart from that, that's the only bad points I really have to say about it. One thing that just come to mind, which is a huge thing, which I don't know why I forgot, but the way BioWare have implemented quests in the game. In WoW, you'd walk up to an NPC, you'd get a text box, you click accept the quest, and then you go about it. 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to read that quest text. You don't really care. You don't feel very engrossed in the game because you're just going from point A to point B and doing what you're told. Whereas this game is a lot different in that they've taken a lot of lessons from their single player RPGs and they've implemented it into the MMO setting. What they've done is you now go up to a quest and it's fully voice acted. Every quest in the game has a voice support for it. You walk up to a guy and he asks you to go and maybe sterilise the swamp because he feels the Empire's polluting it. So you can, and throughout that interaction, you have options to speak to the guy, interact with him, be aggressive towards him, be sympathetic towards him. And it goes like that throughout the game. So you'll get to the swamp, you'll go to maybe, pour the I just said it and I've completely forgotten it. Pour the sterilization into the river, and you find someone's there and they're saying the chemicals that you're putting in are creating mutants. What are you going to do? You're going to stay faithful to the man that you first got the quest from? Or are you going to help this person out? Believe them. You know, maybe they say, oh, instead of pouring that in, go and destroy these valves. So you do that, go and destroy the valves instead. And now the man's at the beginning is really upset. You know, it's a way to involve the character so much more in what's going on rather than go here and do that. Don't get me wrong, there are quests that still do that, but they're still voice acted, you still have choices, and at the end of it, you know, you still get your good and bad. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. There is a karma system in the game. You can excuse me, you can be a good Sith, you can be an evil Jedi. It's all about how you interact with the people around you. You know, are you a very scornful Jedi? You know, you'll do good by people, but you want a little bit of money out of it. You know, it's all about how you want to play. And this came down huge for me, because when I play games, I tend to lean towards the more good characters. And this is only because in most games, the only way to be bad is to kill people and be a dick. That's the only way to be an evil character. Where in real life it's a lot different. Maybe being the evil character is swindling people, stealing, you know, being dishonest. It's not just stabbing someone. It doesn't happen like that in real life. And that's what they've really tuned into in this. For an example, I play a bounty hunter. My philosophy going into it is, I'm not an evil character. I don't want to kill people for no reason, but I'm not a really good guy either. You know, I'm not going to do well by everyone. I'm not going to be polite. I just want money. That's what a bounty hunter wants. I just want money. So if someone comes up to me, you know, I have a quest to go and kill this guy. I get there, go to kill him. He wants to talk to me instead. I talk to him. He says, oh, instead of killing me, I'll give you these credits and I'll disappear. I'm going to do that, and guess what? I get good karma for that, because I did the right thing in that situation. And it really makes you think, you know, how do I want to play this character? It really makes you roleplay a lot more, and I really like that about the game, especially even this Sith warrior. It's weird to think of a good Sith warrior just because of how the films have kind of displayed the Sith, but even the Sith aren't all blood-hungry murderers. You know, they have their codes and their traditions. Sure, it's a bit twisted, but they still have rules. Like, for an example, one of the starting quests for the Sith warrior, you are sent to a prison where you are to interrogate 3 prisoners and decide their fate. I had the mindset of going in, I'm Sith, I'm a dick, they're all going to die. I killed them all. I went back to my master, and he says, what have you done? We could have used that person. They are a great assassin. We could have recruited them to the Empire. Why did you kill that person? You had no reason to. Why are you doing this? You know, being an evil character isn't about killing people and being a dick in this game. It's about making the conscious choice of what you want to do, exploiting people. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. And that's one of the main things that I really like about this game. So yeah, I've rambled enough. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Overall, I think it's a very promising game. I definitely will be playing it. The bad points that I picked out are really minimal. There's really nothing I don't enjoy about this game. And yeah, so again, if you liked the video, please leave a comment. I want to know how you liked the game. Did you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree with my opinion? Let me know. You might hate the game. I appreciate everyone's opinions, and I'd love to hear them. So leave a comment, make sure to subscribe if you want to get more content like this, and also check out my friend who helped me with this instant. His name is Epic Axe on YouTube. The link for his channel will be in the description, so please go and check him out. So I'll see you again next time, guys. Take care of yourselves and have a lovely day.